Hello? Rescue hooks to rescue, Mayday! Get ahead, West. Fast, Mayday, what's your location? Get the panel out of here, hurry up! We need radio silence, baby. Water in that 2.5 inch line. 48 inch water in a 2.5 inch line. To the rope, to the rope. 35 in the rear, 35 in the rear.
Welcome to the Emergency Traffic Podcast. Hello, and here we are, another episode of the Emergency Traffic Podcast. My name is Paul Prevost. I'm the producer and host of the podcast, where we talk about firefighter and paramedic line of duty deaths and the tragic circumstances that surround them to learn more. This is one of our Tailboard Talk series, where we typically gather around the tailboard and talk about current affairs in the fire service that are of interest. I'm joined today by Dirk and Doug on the tailboard. Grab a cup of coffee and have a listen. We're going to talk this week about electric fire trucks, about colors of fire trucks again, no pump versus pump aerials, maybe an idea about taking stats on how many times aerials with pumps the pumps actually get used, PFAS and turnout gear, construction site fires and the recent spate of many of them, electric vehicles and lithium-ion battery fires and the risks surrounding them. So, I'll bring in Doug and Dirk. We got Dirk and Doug and myself today on the tailboard. Doug's a little grumpy, so it should be a good session as we discuss various things, such as, what do you think about electric fire trucks? Rancho Cucamonga was driving around with their new Rosenbauer RTX, and that's what Vancouver bought, and that's what who else bought one? Somewhere in the States. Oh, LA. Yeah.
And Brampton.
Brampton, yeah, right.
And I think Toronto's getting one as well, at least on order.
And then Jay Leno is doing a review of the E1 or Pierce.
E1,
the E1 electric fire truck, which they say is 100% electric. So I don't know what that means.
It has a diesel engine, same as the Rosenbauer. The difference with the Volterra, I think it's called Volterra. It's exactly the same as a North American truck, with the engine right where that engine is normally under the cab.
Whereas the RTX is a totally different European style fire engine with a pump in the rear and the crew cab.
That separate engine is kind of like the what we have, that
auxiliary generator.
So somewhere stationed there.
Right.
So that's what makes the Volterra more similar to us, to what we're used to.
And the Pierce is the Vector, right?
That sounds right.
I think so, yeah.
So the E1, interesting story about the E1. I ran into a company that was called Emergency One at Interschutz.
From the UK.
Emergency One is a Scottish company.
Yep.
They are selling their battery pack and the drive and everything to E1. And
okay.
They basically put the rest on top of that. So Despite they're trying to tell you this is an American thing, apparently the chassis and the batteries and everything comes from the UK. I call it Scottish because the Scots would like to stay in the European Union, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
Haven't heard anything about the Volterra though. I haven't heard any reviews. Like Rosenbauer is really open about this. They're posting interviews with the firefighters that are operating it. There's a couple of videos on YouTube where the LA firefighters are interviewed. I think the station they're running that thing out of is in a hilly area, very tight turns up the hills. That's why they're testing it there, I guess. And they are really
the one in California. Which one?
LA, yeah.
LA, yeah. LA City. Well, and Rancho Cucamonga has one. I saw a picture. It's all white. And Rancho Cucamonga is also a suburb, but it's very hilly. I was down there when I worked for E1.
Right.
And
do you like all white?
It's safer than all red, according to the proof of the studies. Yeah. Although, not as safe as lime yellow and et cetera. Right, Doug?
I just listened to that podcast when I was driving the other day, and yeah, I don't know.
I
It
didn't
is what it
convince.
is.
I convinced you a little bit, did
Well,
I?
you didn't convince me at all.
Oh, okay.
I will never change my mind
Okay.
until there's a official worldwide color known as fire engine yellow or fire engine white. I rest my case that fire
Yes.
engines should be fire engine red.
Cool. What about ladders with pumps? You guys were chatting about that last week. About somebody posted a picture of a nice little ladder with no pump on it, and that got us going. And
Yeah, that was the Escambia single axle.
single axle,
I
100
think
foot.
was the
straight
100
stick.
foot. I
I
wasn't
think so.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the color. Like that red looked like
It was
super
red.
sharp with
Yeah.
a lettering.
Yeah.
That was looked really sharp. No, I think what we talked about was in general. Most departments purchase let's call them quints for
Right. The number of
for
quints
lack of a better
was
term.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was just questions like because I don't think my department keeps track of when we respond to bigger fires or whenever we set up a ladder and flow water. Do we use our pump, and how often do we actually use that aerial ladder to pump water and pull attack lines off? Because I'm pretty sure I've never seen an attack line being pulled off. So that would be a question: is like, do we need that hose on there? And then
Yeah.
I know Doug, big fan of the FDNY. They're ladder trucks or rescue trucks with an aerial on top, right? So,
Denver is too.
oh yeah, I think there's quite a few in the States. And I mean, you look at any tiller truck, they rarely have a pump. Or if they have a pump, they probably don't have a tank because they got to keep that weight low, right? So
Yeah.
my question is just: does the department when you look at purchasing an aerial or a new ladder truck or platform, whatever you want to call it, do they look at the statistics? Do they look at how often do we actually need that for anything like for car fires or So
Yeah, I mean, some municipalities. I think the article actually said that pump quints outnumbered straight or regular ladders, no pump ladders in sales in North America or something. That's where it came from. And then, like in Regina, they bought pumps and quints. The reason they put a quint in the station beside a pump, besides they need a ladder, but they wanted it to be a quint so that when the pump was out on a medical call, for example, they still had a pump in the station. So that's why they wanted the pump and tank and hose on the ladder, because it was basically a second due pump company in that district.
And for smaller departments, it absolutely makes sense. If you only have 3 trucks, right, and you need an aerial, then sure. But all the bigger metropolitan,
You got lots of pumps in a
you got
metropolitan
lots of
department.
pumps, right?
Right,
Yeah.
lots of pumps.
That was going to be my answer, but I was waiting to get my words in here. But you two chatterboxes won't give me a chance.
That's why we have a screen here, Dougie. You can say
You can wave.
Yeah. Anyways, my answer was as far as ladders with pumps is it depends what your situations are. I think if you if you have enough pumps or engines or whatever on your own department or through automatic aid or whoever's showing up, that you have enough, then you don't. I think a true ladder truck or truck company is more beneficial, but then you have to have a strong truck company culture and not only worry about having 7 crews on fire attack. You have to do the other stuff too. And I think if you're a small department or a volunteer department or a department that when your truck goes in for service, you don't have a spare truck, so now we got to use the ladder or whatever, then I think you have to have a quint, some variation of a quint. And in my opinion, in my way of looking at things, there's kind of 2 different types of quints. There's like the small single axle like engine with a ladder on top, or there's the tandem axle 40 feet long ladder with a pump with it. And I think they're 2 different things. And I don't like, I mean, you talk about Regina wants 2 pumps in the hull, whatever, but I'm not super familiar with how big Regina is, but I think if there's, you can show up to a fire, even if you don't have a pump, there's still a lot of things you can do. And I think even if there isn't water and a pump on your truck, by the time you do your 360 or you do your softening the build, whatever, the truck with water will be there. Like, you're not waiting forever. If you're a more spread out volunteer department or suburban or urban or suburban department, that the next truck is 15 minutes away, then it might make sense to have a
The other
quint.
thing is, of course, is the manufacturers will typically only build quint stock units or demos. They typically don't do a straight no pump aerial, because typically it's larger centers that buy the no pump aerials, and they want to specify it to their specs, right? So cool.
Yeah, I think if it's what do you call it again? I just lost my train of thought here. The manufacturer builds a truck to sell their features as well. So I'm guessing they would put cool features in these trucks, or are they going to produce them cheaply?
Well, there's 2 types of demos, stock units. So typically stock units will be fairly plain Jane. They'll have popular features, but they won't go crazy with stuff. They won't paint it yellow, for example, or white. Whereas demo trucks, yeah, then they'll put some cool features on and show them off and show them around the country, kind of thing. I remember, E1's first mid-mount boom, or E1, like Pierce built their first Ascendant mid-mount, and so those are trucks that you want to show off. So there's two kind of trains of thought there. Okay. Speaking of fire trucks, our last podcast about in South Dakota, Brandon, South Dakota, one of my former coworkers at Rosenbauer had given us some feedback there. I shared with you guys that he was actually at the fire, Neil, and he said, I was at that fire, and he liked the podcast. He thought we didn't really capture the confusion. I'm sure it was much more intense at the fire. And another guy, actually, who's the leader, I think, of the RTX program, Mike. I'm just keeping out last names just for them. He was at that fire as well in Brandon, South Dakota. This guy Neil thought, and so that was kind of good. So I appreciated that he shared with us his thoughts of the podcast, and I was wishing I would have known he was there beforehand and he could have done the recording with us. It would have been good to have someone there as a firefighter.
It would have been.
Let's see what else do we have on the list.
Paul, are there were there any radio recordings that we would have been able to play or listen to?
I didn't look for any. There probably is on Broadcastify. I think you can look up old calls and stuff. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of radio, I think we talked about it last time, was the radio for Baltimore. That was really interesting, and I've been using it now in my incident command courses. I play about 10 minutes where the incident commander, battalion chief, whatever, starts making divisions and groups and sectoring off and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
PFAS and bunker gear. So Vancouver just announced that they've bought a few hundred sets of PFAS-free bunker gear for their firefighters to try to reduce the chances of cancer. And Dirk, you had a few opinions on other ways to reduce it without replacing the gear.
Well, a couple of things on that one. First of all, if I have 600 firefighters and I order 200 sets, who are going to be the people that get the PFAS free ones? Just to throw it out there. Secondly, if I drop the PFAS, and as far as I understand, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a chemist, but as far as I understand, if you don't have the PFAS, your turnout gear will not repel chemicals or oil. So now you're going into a structure fire. We know nowadays the structure fires are chemicals and oil and diesel, and that's what we're walking into. So now you're not protected from that. So your choice: do you want to get the cancer from PFAS, or you want to get it from the structure fire? So it's kind of like a trade-off. Again, for me, have proper procedures when it comes to decon, when to wear structural firefighting gear, not for elevator rescues, not for traffic collisions. Most of us have, and I think you mentioned this, Paul, we should be wearing a Nomex uniform. If we don't wear a Nomex uniform, we should wear a Nomex coverall that protects us from flash fires, and that is what could happen at a vehicle accident. So maybe we have to be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more forceful in enforcing or guiding our firefighters in what to wear when. And I know it gets complicated because it's more than one or two choices, and firefighters are simple. Just tell me one way to do things, right? But that's not the world we live in anymore. And you can't bitch and complain about not wanting to wear PFAS turnout gear when you're not willing to wear the alternatives, right? And I get it. Sometimes things change, and now we're talking about, well, then I just put my coverall on, but I actually need my structural gear because now somebody's trapped because dispatch didn't get the proper updates, or the situation we encounter is totally different than that was reported. Now we have to, delay our response. So again, what are we doing this job for? Who is more important, the people we serve, or are we more important? And how much safety do I need at a fire?
Well, I mean, the oil resistancy thing, that is so that remnants of hydrocarbons are not in the outside shell fabric of the turnout gear, so that when you go to a fire, your turnout gear then lost its doesn't sustain flame anymore because there's oil, it's impregnated. So that's why the PFAS was on the outside shell, so that when you're at the car accident yesterday, your oil that you knelt in when you're doing the rescue, or the rescue tool leaked out or whatever, isn't on your gear. So, but like you
So
say,
the
why
PFAS,
are you wearing your turnout gear to the
yeah,
car accident?
and
And
you just said it, the PFAS on the outside. So am I
right.
sleeping on my turnout gear? Am I rubbing it? And I know we've all been there. We put our babies on that
Well,
turnout gear.
it's on
But
all the layers, but the
it's
stuff
not. It's not. It's not. We got a moisture barrier that should prevent anything from coming through.
that has PFAS on it too. The moisture
Okay.
barrier, the inside barrier, and the outside
So
all
can
have
we just
PFAS
get
on them.
turnout gear that only has PFAS on the outside and then don't lick it? I
I'm
know
not
that's a tough
sure.
over. That's
I'm
tough
not
over
sure about
truckies.
the new the new turnout gear is, but right. Don't reduce your
Right.
exposure. Don't wear it for
Yeah.
the rooftop camp out. Don't put your kids on it for the photo.
Yeah.
Don't wear it to EMS calls.
Yeah.
Those kind. Yeah, I know you like the knee pads, but I mean,
So
it's
now,
you can get coveralls with knee pads.
now we are banning something where we don't even know if that is the cause of certain types of cancer. We
Well,
don't.
they
It's
know it's linked to cancer.
Oh,
That's
yes,
been
but
proven.
okay, PFAS is 10,000 chemicals. You tell me which one gives you cancer and which one protects you from the chemicals.
No,
No scientist in the world would go and sit down and test every single of those 10,000 chemicals, because first of all, it would take years. It would take up a huge budget. Nobody's interested in that. Like,
but there
it's
is definitive studies done by several universities that PFAS in turnout gear causes cancer. That's decided already. And foam, PFAS in foam. That's why the many American states are taking all the fluorine foam away.
I like to see those articles that say definitely this is what causes it.
No, Notre
There's
Dame
a,
Notre Dame University.
okay, we're going to share this with our listeners, and they can gladly listen or read through this. I'm also going to share a couple of podcasts with scientists that said it's a trade-off. Just don't throw that PFAS away because it has been serving us really well in the past. It has just killed us. And a healthy lifestyle, physical
Is also
fitness,
important.
and yeah. So the guys that smoking a cigarette and saying, "I don't want this PFAS shit on my gear," sorry, not gonna happen.
Well,
Say
no,
with guys that
firefighters don't smoke.
okay, maybe
I
not.
taught a class last week with 15 students, and not one of them smoked. It was crazy. It's
Okay,
like, wow, awesome.
so you should have asked them how many use cannabis
Oh,
Because apparently that is not smoking. I figured that one out quite a while ago, and it's like, oh, you smoke? No, I don't smoke. It's like, you use cameras. Oh yeah, I have a doobie every once in a while. That is freaking smoking. It's like, I'm sorry, that is smoking, right? Or the other one. What's Dougie? You know that the guys use that, put that
snuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that doesn't give you gum cancer or mouth cancer or
sure
throat
does.
cancer, right?
Yeah.
So again, like for me, at some point, this whole PFAS discussion is picked up by people that really don't want to do this job. They don't.
No way. No
They're
way.
looking for excuses not to go
It's just
inside, not to
reducing
work,
the
do
risks.
their
No, it's reducing the
yes,
risks.
by telling
Just
me when
like
do
take
I
your
wear
gear
what?
off while you're on air. Same
Yeah.
thing. Take your
Okay.
gear off while you're on air. Reduce your risk to ingesting or cancer-causing agents from the fire. Every
Absolutely.
fire is a hazmat.
Yeah. So why don't we wear our hazmat suits at every fire?
You have your turnout gear and your SCBA, and then you bag and clean your turnout gear.
Okay.
Doug,
Doug's got nothing.
save us.
I have nothing on PFAS. I'm gonna wear the bunker gear that my department buys for me, and people above my pay grade are gonna figure out what that should be. And I'm gonna wear it to the calls I want to wear it to, and when it's cold, I'm gonna wear it, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
The IAFF has come out against PFAS and say we need to restrict our use of turnout gear. It's causing cancer. I mean, the largest firefighter union in North America is supporting these anti-PFAS initiatives, I think.
I just think there's something other behind that politically. I get it, but PFAS, like nobody sued the truck manufacturers for manufacturing diesel trucks that blast diesel into our stairwells and
No,
right.
EPA has requirements the trucks all have to meet. The newer trucks they're more stringent all the time.
Yeah,
That's how
but
it's
that
regulated.
came over
And
time.
they have sued. They just
Yeah.
sued. State of California just sued Cummings, or
Okay.
EPA just sued Cummings in the United States for cheating on the emissions tests, and thousands and thousands of trucks, actually hundreds of thousands of trucks,
Hmm.
and Cummins had to pay a big fine because they cheated on emissions tests in California, and they
Because
had
that
to
caused
derate the trucks.
and that caused cancer.
Yeah,
Well, okay, so now, so if you have cancer, you can just sue anybody and say, "Hey, oh yeah, that was it.
it has to
Definitely,
be
that caused
linked.
it."
It has to be linked.
How do you link it when we have in our profession? There's so many risks associated with getting this.
That's the problem. Is how do you risk
Besides,
it? Is it the
besides the
foam?
greasy
Is it the
breakfast,
gear? Is it the diesel?
is it the breakfast? The greasy is it the cleaner we are using in our fire stations? Right? There's so much, and then how much don't we know yet? What's going to
Well, yeah,
happen in
you got to
15,
start
20
some.
years, right?
You got to start somewhere, though. I mean,
Yeah. Again, for me, the manufacturer's going to be like, okay, awesome. Then you don't want to be as safe. We'll sell you this stuff.
what about all the construction fires we're seeing lately? How about that? Like we're seeing a lot of construction. Phoenix had a huge construction site fire. A lot of places are not following NFPA 1041, which is the requirements for construction sites.
Not
For
1041.
no, sorry, 241. 241. For construction
It
site
might have
fires.
something to do with the flammable material we build our houses with.
Well, yeah, all the wood and OSB and glue and
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah, but and
a
there's
high rise
no
that's been
drywall, so
a high rise that's been built out of steel and concrete and glass. I haven't seen that going up in flames. Besides the cladding fires, but I don't think
cladding fires. Another
but
one in Spain. Another
that's not a
one,
thing here, right?
right?
Because
Fortunately,
we are not so concerned about the environmental impact, and we just open the windows to regulate
no,
our heat.
no. The reason it's not a factor here is there's an NFPA requirement that's in building code for flammability of exterior panels, and that's why it isn't a thing in North America. Is because of our building code restricts the use of that type of panel with the aluminum skin and polyethylene insulation in between.
Well, they just come up with different testing procedures. That's what they did in Europe, right? They just tested differently, but then the way it being put on the buildings now it's suddenly flammable. So it We can put PFAS on turner gear and make it really safe to us, or it can give us cancer, right?
Oh,
I mean,
we're not going anywhere here.
no, I don't honestly. Yeah, there's fires, and I'm really glad about that because that's my job to go to fires and put them out,
Oh.
right? And for everything else, there's fire prevention. Like we pay a lot of people good
So what
money.
I'm saying is our fire preventions are not adequate enough because we have all these construction sites catching fire and burning down and causing all kinds of cost and infrastructure and stuff because fire prevention at construction sites as a hot work and all this other stuff is not controlled enough. In Boston, if you're going to do hot work, you have to take a training program from NFPA to get it certified to do hot work. We need to get more of that because building construction sites are burning all over North America.
Yeah, but that would be OSHA or OHS that should check for that too,
No,
right?
no, it's fire code. It's fire code, fire department, fire
Okay.
code.
Yeah, then we gotta hire more.
Yes, we do. We need more fire inspectors. Fire
And
prevention.
here's the other thing: we have to enforce it, and we have to charge people violating it, and
Right.
not just a pittance, because most of those big construction companies, they're billion-dollar businesses. If we find them $100,000, they just write that off. Right, so it's just gonna hurt.
There was actually a case in Edmonton, north of me here, where a hotel had exit doors that they didn't want to repair. It was too much money, and so they chained them shut. And people at the event that was there called the fire service, and the fire service actually successfully prosecuted the hotel owner, and the judge increased the fine like triple over what it could have been
Mhm.
because he said, I don't want it to be known that it's cheaper to pay the fine than to fix the problem. And so it was when I did my inspector training, we refer that case. The students were bringing it up, and that's we need to make sure that the fines are substantial enough so that people don't just say, whatever, don't worry about it. You're absolutely right.
So, interesting little fact: back in the old country, whenever there's a official like a theater, musical theater, just opera, whatever, where there's a lot of people, there is a fire watch
Mm-hmm.
at every event, and that's been supplied by the fire department. Just I've been to a few where I was just walking around, make sure all the entranceways are not blocked, everything is working properly, fire extinguishers are there, just a nice quick walk around, and then during the intermissions and stuff like that, you walk around and check the exit doors and all this stuff. And we got paid for that pretty well. It was a good side gig. You had to sign up for it, right? Maybe you get one or two a year. So um,
Was it
never
because
never heard of that here unless that would be fulfilled by those private security companies. But
so if you have a building that has a sprinkler system, if the sprinkler system is down or the power's out, you have to have a fire watch.
yeah, I
Right?
know.
Usually the
But
building does it themselves.
yeah,
Now, any theater or any occupancy, any group occupancy that's over 300 people has to have sprinklers and a monitored alarm system. But if you don't have that, then you could have a fire watch.
we had the fire watch either way. There was sprinklers, there was alarm systems. And it was nice when you rolled up and there was already a fire watch guy already was
Right.
at the panel, gave you the run card, you know exactly where it is, or he's already been there, said that there's a fire, it was a pull station, right? So it different. It's more, I'd say, more regulated and more enforced than maybe in North America. Unless it comes to cladding.
Potentially.
That's
Potentially.
maybe the building. See, maybe the building construction or the building, what do you call it? The building codes are not as strict in Europe. That's why they have to put people there to enforce it, rather than
I mean,
having very strict laws, but then you don't have any enforcement, and people just like to cut corners, right?
that's kind of where we are, I think, in much of Alberta anyway, is the laws are there. Maybe not as strict as some jurisdictions, but the laws are there. But the enforcement is lacking because we leave it up to the local municipality. to do, it's their responsibility. Like even inspections are more strict in BC than Alberta, because BC enforces it more, their safety codes, than Alberta does, because it's up to the municipality to decide how they're going to implement them and enforce them and educate and all that kind of stuff. So it's the first thing that goes away when you have limited budget, limited firefighters, limited resources. Well, then, we need to go to fires, but we can do fire prevention next week. Cool.
I'm just giving Doug here a second so you can say something. Otherwise, he's like, "Oh, I'll never get a word in." And we take a deep breath and nothing. It's just crickets.
I had no idea that there was an epidemic of construction site fires, and so I don't know what to say. I mean, like,
big time. Big LinkedIn. Follow LinkedIn. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. So there was it's on LinkedIn. You can follow stuff, and they talk about all the fires and stuff. And I'm into that because of inspections, right?
What's LinkedIn again?
Yeah. It's a place where you can get lots of free education and reports on stuff. You follow stuff you're interested in, such as PFAS maybe, or construction site fires. So in Europe, they have passed a law, I believe it's in the European Union, that all buildings, all new construction has to have solar panels on the building, on the roof. And all buildings must have solar panels installed by 2035 or something to minimize their carbon footprint and save resources. So guess what there's been happening in Europe is a dramatic increase in fires related to solar panels, because there's no overarching standard in place currently that regulates the installation of the solar panels, especially all the related wiring and pass-throughs and connections, and that's where the fires have been going. So I read a report last week on this from experts in Europe, and he had all the graphs and stuff like that. He was doing a presentation, actually. It was an audio recording. He did a presentation in India, and I was listening to his presentation, and yeah, the exponential increase in fires, they were up to, I don't know, 7,000 a year now. They're expecting 25,000 a year soon, due to poor installation practices because it's not regulated enough. So lots of fires, and it's inevitable. We can't avoid it. The standards won't be ready in time. It takes about 10 years to develop new standards, and in the 10 years, all these solar panels will be installed. So something to watch out for. Epidemic.
So if you want to fight fires, go apply to be a firefighter in Europe.
Oh, you guys are bad today.
You'll never be inside fighting a fire, but
hey, whoa! We busted that myth a long time ago.
What's that? The European guys don't go inside?
Yeah, that's one of the North Americans brouhaha. It's like, oh yeah, Americans don't go inside with those goofy helmets. And I can only say, in 12 years, I've never put water from the outside into fire.
That's called the transitional attack.
No, it does. They're doing it now, but back then we didn't do it, and they're doing it because North America taught them to. So, if anything, right? But it's funny
because gas phasing doesn't work. It's not effective for the average firefighter. Is that what we're saying?
Well, they're facing the same problems that we face. It's just theirs are closer to the flash cam because the building usually does not become a problem.
Right. It's the content.
It's a really content fire, right?
I think, Paul, what I'm trying to my theme is, like, if there's a whole bunch of solar panels causing fires, there's nothing I can do about that other than go to the fire and put it out. I'm not a regulator or a part of the government or part of the enforcement that's going to have any issue. Like, that's so beyond my scope of thinking. Like, if they want to say we have to reduce our carbon footprint, we have to put solar panels everywhere, they're going to do it. And because that creates so much work, people are going to take shortcuts to not do it properly, or people aren't going to be trained enough to go do it. And that's just the way life goes. And as firefighters and fire departments, we're around for when people like that do that kind of thing. And we just go, sweet, a fire, let's go put it out. And we go have fun. And then we go back to the hall and we go, that was awesome. And then we go on to the next one.
Yeah,
So
we don't say,
I,
because
I'm
of the
not
solar
gonna.
panels. Like, yeah.
I'm not gonna get my back up, and like I could care
I-
less if they go. My
something
firefighter part of my brain could care less if they say go put solar panels everywhere. There's nothing I can do about that. So
but
I'll
it's
just go to
something
the
to be
fire.
aware it's
Sure,
something
it's
to
something
be
to be aware
aware
of.
of.
Sure.
And because often what comes with solar panels in many areas are energy storage systems. And energy storage systems are a danger to you, the firefighter,
It's a
because if it's
fire.
in,
It's a fire.
it could explode. It produces much more violent gases release and stuff than the fire does if you go into a place where a thermal runaway is occurring
We have people
and you don't
storing
know about
gasoline
it.
in their garages. They blow up on us. There's like that is the risk we're taking. We just have to be aware of it. But again, I'm aware of it. It looks like they got solar panels. They might have a storage facility in the basement. We're not going to go inside. No, that's not going to. That's not going to work. No, we put water on the fire. That's what we do.
And it's not even a solar panel thing. I mean, every this whole I want to call it a fad, but this direction we're going towards electric powered everything, like our fire trucks. We're gonna burn down a fire hall one day because the charging truck's gonna explode in the bay. But we have to be aware of that at all the fires we go to. That it's not. I mean, yeah, it is a room and contents fire, but when you're in a metro area on the 15th floor, the 25th floor of a apartment fire, the contents could be a runaway lithium ion battery and an electric scooter. That is
Right.
not just bring your high rise pack up, spray some water, and go home. Because you're going to spray some water and be like, why isn't this working? We like there's it's the evolving of our job to just keep up with what's going on currently. So yeah, if you show up to a building and you see solar panels, that might trigger some things in your brain that you have to do things differently. But they're going to figure it out real fast when they're going to 25,000 of them a year. They're going to know exactly what to do when they get there because it's all they're going to go to.
But what about the EVs in the garages? Like that one, was it Colorado? Who was it? South Metro. And they found two EVs in the garage. One of them was burning. They pulled it out. They controlled it. Then they put the blanket over it. They put the blanket over it to control it. They hauled it out, put the blanket, wrapped the car in the blanket, put it on the wrecker, and then the other car was damaged beside it. Pulled it out, wrapped it in a EV fire blanket, sent it to the wrecking yard too. Luckily, not like those other guys, there was a video where the garage exploded from the Jeep. There was an electric Jeep in there, and it exploded, blew the door off the garage and everything before they could start their attack.
Yeah.
Like how we need to educate firefighters about this stuff. That's
Yeah.
why I follow LinkedIn. That's why I bring it up on the podcast.
There is a risk to everything we do.
There
And
is, but it's changing.
if it's increased, then we'll learn from it and we'll deal with it, just as Doug said. It's still going to be water on the fire, right? It's still going to be following your procedure. Just be more aware. That's all. And I get the safety chief here. I get that. Like, ooh, it's dangerous. We got to be
Dangerous.
safe. But we're not going to adjust our basic skills. That's not necessary.
But the big thing is that the big difference with the EV fire in a garage
Hmm.
or in a room, energy storage system bigger than a scooter, is that the off-gassing produces vast amount of toxic and flammable gases in a confined space.
You better have PFAS on your gear because otherwise that stuff is going to kill you.
I give up.
I think the thing that for me personally is if you're going to an EV car fire on the middle of the road, you
That's
know
fine.
showing up that you're going to an electric vehicle, which is it's a lithium ion battery fire. It's not which could happen in a vehicle or in this or in that. It's when it's like in an apartment that you don't know it's a scooter there, or it's in a parkade that you don't know that that's what's on fire, or in a garage. That's when it's like. So what I'm trying to say is when you're going to any apartment fire or any parkade fire or any vehicle in a garage fire, it should cross your mind that this might be chances go up every day in our society today that this might be different than the 2,000 fires you've been to already. And just be aware that flowing your little bit of water that used to work might not work anymore. So be prepared to adapt to something different that
Or-
might take more water or a different tactic.
Or when you open the door, it might blow you on your ass like the guys in Surprise, Arizona. And the one captain was thrown 150 feet when they opened the door.
Well, what
to
do they
the energy
expect when
storage.
they work for a place called Surprise?
No, it's good. It's just, it shows it's a good representation of the current topics and attitudes about them. So it's good.
Yeah, as I said, we will adjust. That's just the way it is. And I like what Doug said. It's like we just got, if the gear they're giving us, that's the gear they give us. If it's the electric fire truck, guaranteed Doug is not going to be like, no, I'm not going to ride in that thing. Well, there's nothing else there, right?
Yeah,
So he will adjust. And liking it or not, it's kind of like the color thing. Do you like it or not? Is it
Like
really
this-
safer? I'm not sure. I don't think
Well, hang
so.
on. No, hang on. You can't debate that it's safer. The studies have proven that it's safer.
The study somewhere else. They didn't study my city or my province or even my country. Not my study.
Not
Right?
my study. Can't
Not
happen
my study.
here. Okay.
Different
We're going into,
cultures, different attitudes.
isolationism here. Yeah. You sound like Neville Chamberlain, Peace in My Time, and Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah.
But you know
Or
what
Franklin,
I mean. Like
Franklin Roosevelt.
there's always the argument for, oh yeah, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. But then the counter argument is, well, it hasn't happened here yet.
Yeah,
That's why we're doing these line of duty death thingies, because it's like, well, we haven't had a line of duty death since 1976, so we're good. And like, no, but it happens for other, yeah, but it's other places.
Exactly.
Oh,
So that's why don't
Americans.
wear your PFAS turnout gear to go take the picture with your kids or sleep on the rooftop campout.
Maybe, yeah, maybe we should
Don't
wear
wear it to
European
medical
helmets
help.
because they're safer.
Yeah, but like,
Yes,
Paul,
we should.
like,
You're right. And hook it to your SCBA.
You're going to wear that PFAS bunker gear to, in the 10 years you have that set given to you, to hundreds, if not thousands of calls a year. So wearing it one more time for your rooftop campout makes zero difference.
Except you're sleeping in it.
Maybe.
You're probably not
Sort of,
sleeping
sort
in
of,
it. You're
sort of.
probably sleeping in a sleeping bag.
I
Probably
think-
not
I don't-
sleeping in bunker gear.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's rubbing off. You're eating. It's stuff's coming off the gear. They've done studies already. The stuff is coming off the gear all the time.
There's also PFAS in every piece of clothing you own that's waterproof.
This is true. And
So,
your Teflon pans.
like, I mean, like,
and your water bottles.
so
all right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Beat this up to death. You guys are just ornery today.
No, we just don't think it's such a big deal.
just not. Yeah, it's not something
about
I'm gonna not waste my time's not the right word, but it's not something I'm gonna spend my energy on. There's
Right.
you got to pick and choose your battles, and whatever bunker gear I get by the department I'm on is what I'm gonna wear. And
Same as your nozzles, right?
I'm gonna trust the people in charge of that to do the research and buy the right stuff.
Same
Like,
as the
it's-
nozzles, right?
it's-
We're good with those fog nozzles because that's what they buy. It's awesome.
That's what we have.
That's why there's a
Sure.
fog nozzle on my platform.
As I said, do we like it or not? It's not up to us. When
Okay.
the department decides this is what it is on that platform, then we're going to use it. Do we
When
like
you
it?
get
Does it
on a
work?
commi-
Maybe.
when- Right. When you get on a committee, then you can change it.
There's no committees anymore.
Okay. Anyway, it's all awareness, right? It's just a matter of awareness.
I mean, things are getting better. There's guys used to wear bunker gear all day long in the hall everywhere.
Yep.
And
it's
things
getting
are
better.
changing,
You're
right? Like,
yep.
but there's also a little bit of like, it used to be, don't put your dirty bunker gear in your car. Don't bring it home. Don't do this. Don't. And then it's like, but the other side is, well, when it's dirty, I send it away and get it cleaned. So I'm not bringing my dirty, sooty gear everywhere I
Right.
go.
Yeah. So it's changing.
And then it's like, you listen to the chief that tells you don't do this, don't do that, who drives around in his car all day with his bunker gear in the seat beside him. So it's a little like frustrating to deal with that kind of stuff, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not change, Paul. It's progress.
It's changing.
It's
It's progress.
progress.
You're right.
It's
Yeah. Same
progress.
with the cleaner diesel engines and emission controls in the hall,
Yeah.
the vacuum systems, whatever.
It will
yeah.
get better. They're gonna technology evolves. They come up with new stuff, right? It's just Yeah, it's awesome. It's always
Good.
exciting. That's why
Well,
we
we
love this
beat,
shop, because it's never the
yeah,
same, right?
never the same. Well, we beat up a couple of good horses today, so
Denny's gonna be so upset about that.
I know he missed it. Oh well.
He's
But
probably the lucky one that missed it.
Maybe.
ouch.
Well, no, we'll bring up that electric vehicle thing. I
Yeah,
was hoping Doug would go for it, but he doesn't go for it. Topics he
no,
doesn't like, he
he
just
didn't
doesn't
like.
say anything.
I don't like them. I don't want one, but if it's what showed up tomorrow, I don't want a yellow fire truck. If it's what showed up tomorrow, I'm not going to
Okay, Doug,
quit
hang
over
on.
it.
Here's a question: if your municipality bought a
Yeah. If
yellow
my
tiller,
municipality bought a
a
yellow electric tiller, would
a
I like
yellow
it? Yeah.
tiller.
It wouldn't matter. I just want to be the tiller man so that I'm on the other part of the vehicle that doesn't have an electric engine.
All right.
Whoa. The aerial operates electric
Yeah.
hydraulic.
Yep.
Yeah. So
There
there's
you go.
electricity everywhere.
But I
All
do
right.
think I do think that there's been some problems in the electric vehicle world that prove that now's maybe not the right time to switch over to them. Like
Yeah.
the one in LA, the one in Vancouver had issues, not because of the electric part of them, but they're still that model of truck is having the common issue. There's been cities that buy electric fleet vehicles that all of a sudden they need to get rid of them for whatever reason, and they're
Yeah.
millions of dollars
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
So,
Paris
so it,
has a whole bunch of
yeah,
electric cars they bought for inspectors and stuff like that, and then it wasn't worth putting new batteries in them, so they're all sitting in a field somewhere rotting away because no one wants them now. They're a hazardous waste. But there's been lots of electric recycling fires as well. Anyway, we should wrap it up.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good chat.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
Yeah. Any last words?
Well, stay low and go.
yeah. I have
Stay low.
no. Dirk's here, so I can't say it. I guess just be safe.
Ew, that's false.
That's right.
That
That's Sergeant. I looked it up yesterday. It's Sergeant Phil Esterhaus of the TV show Hill Street Blues would say that at the end of every briefing every morning. Let's be safe out there.
yeah. Okay. So, see you at the big one.